to make it fun. Scott's going to give everybody a heck of a race. Johnny Miller's up there. I know he's going to be pushing Boris. Just keep your eye on me.
Well, keep your eye on him for sure. You saw that finish last year. If anybody can come from the back, it's this guy. Pay attention. Could be exciting.
Well, for Scott Pruitt, it's been a perfect comeback year to Trans Am racing. He started on the pole in St. Petersburg and translated that pole position into victory. And he comes here to Long Beach. He's won here before. He almost won twice, ran out of gas on the last lap, but he starts today's race from the pole position. For Scott Pruitt, you're inside the cockpit. You're ready for round 2, but a different proposition this weekend, mate, with Boris right alongside.
A little different proposition. Hi to my family at home. It's going to be a little tough. I mean, this Long Beach is always one of those races, pretty crazy. Turn 1 always can be that way. But I also got to say to the speed guys, hey, man, don't be busting me too hard on the photograph that came out in the picture. Things aren't what you think. I got to just clarify that right now.
Talking of that picture, I actually pulled this off Scott Pruitt's dashboard, believe it or not, right before the off here. This is a little love fest going on between Tommy Drissi and Scott Pruitt yesterday after qualifying. Lee Diffie, Tommy Kendall, I'm not sure what to make of this.
I don't think Scott is either. He's been getting a very heavy ribbing all day long.
I'll tell you what to make of it. He was sharing a tender moment with Tommy Drissi. Both he and Scott and his wife Judy said, hey, take it easy, the kids are watching. I'm sure the kids are gonna be asking, hey, Mommy, why is Daddy hugging someone else? I hope he doesn't join the other team, but that's just me.
Let's get down to the serious stuff. Great to have you in the announce booth this weekend, filling in for Bill Adam. What are your thoughts on the way that the Trans Am group are administering the rules this year? Bit of controversy this weekend with Gentilozzi being sent to the back, an infraction with ride height there after qualifying.
Well, that's actually probably a good sign as far as I'm concerned. They did that to Boris Said, and with Paul Gentilozzi competing in the series and also running the series, the conflict of interest is obvious, and how they administer these things is important. If they had let Paul slide after contact with his nose being a little too low, would have been a bad message. On the other hand, Boris got fined heavily before the start of the season. He was fined for some comments saying that the Mustangs needed some help. All he wanted was aerodynamic parity. They hit him with a big fine. Since then, they've gone to the wind tunnel and agreed with Boris. They haven't refunded his $5,000, but they've given the Mustangs a little bit of help.
Let's talk about Trans Am racing here on the streets of Long Beach. I mean, unfortunately, you never came up with a win, but you had some great races, and this place just seems to produce wonderful racing for Trans Ams.
Well, I mean, Long Beach is the biggest road race in North America, and that's a champ car race, but the Trans Am's the same thing. Growing up here right near Long Beach, it's the one I always wanted to win more than anyone else. Was never able to do it, but that's what makes it sweet. Anything can happen here, and usually does.
We talk about that wonderful finish last year. Let's take a look at this mayhem in 2000 involving Chris Neville, Johnny Miller. Talk us through this, TK.
Well, Neville and Miller get together, and you see Tommy Drissi picks his way through the wreckage and gets out in front. This was one of Tommy's early races. Pulled his way through. It's the only Trans Am win he had. I'm sure he couldn't believe his luck at this point. Probably looking for a hug from Scott Pruitt after that one. But and here comes Lou Gelati with the damage plowing right into the tires. That was one of the wackier finishes. Last year was just pure good racing.
And there is Tommy Drissi. He was right place, right time, and he's a local lad from Hollywood, and he just cruised all the way to his one and only victory in Trans Am racing. Drissi was delighted to do that. He would love to do that again today. There he is in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the movie livery. Tommy starts from 6th, and he'll have hard work to make it all the way up to 1st. Plenty more. The V8s will roar here on the streets of Long Beach after this.
Introducing the Pilot, built by Honda, with 4-wheel drive and a quadruple 5-star safety rating. Invent a shortcut.
Look, Steph, it's adorable. Hi there. Hi, what kind is it?
It's a mix, actually. Part charcoal, part gas.
Does it do any tricks?
Yeah, actually, it switches from gas to charcoal in just a few seconds.
Listen, Steph and I are having a party tonight. Why don't you stop by?
The Charbroil 2-in-1 Charcoal Gas Grill. It's man's new best friend.
What a chick magnet.
You change your own brake pads, but the squealing and pulsating brake pedal come right back? That's because you only did half the job. You didn't resurface the rotors, but removing the rotors and taking them to a machine shop is a hassle and expensive. But that's all over. Introducing Brake True, the patented new product that lets you do a complete brake job yourself. It's only $19.95, and it's as easy as 1, attach brake true, 2, insert brake pads, and 3, apply brakes. And you get a better result. Independent testing proves you can stop almost 2 car lengths faster after the brake true process.
Over the years, we've tried many different products, and Brake True gave us better performance than we thought we'd ever see.
Brake True actually works better than a brake lathe. It can give you up to 29% more braking surface.
Using Brake True is as easy as 1, attach brake true, 2, insert brake pads, 3, apply brakes. Order Brake True now. End squealing, extend the life of your brake pads, and improve your stopping distance by almost 2 car lengths.
Now with Brake True, I can do a complete job at home.
Call 1-800-799-5464 to get your Brake True roto resurfacer pads for only $19.95. Call 1-800-799-5464. That's 1-800-799-5464. Call now.
Welcome back to the streets of Long Beach for the Trans Am Grand Prix of Long Beach, round 2 of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tyres Cup. And as the cars roll around for the first time, we're just moments away from the start of round 2. Tommy Kendall, talk us around this 1.9 mile circuit.
Well, I've got big shoes to fill after Willie T's track map last year, where it took about 2 minutes and he was drawing like stick figure, corner figures, and so forth. But anyways, the secret here is getting off the hairpin turn 11, getting down the straight, and braking zones in turn 1 and turn 9. The other parts are important, but those are the places where the real time is made. Now, early on, the guys have to watch the tire wear, because if they take too much out of the tires early on, they're not going to get a good shot out of that all-important turn 11 hairpin.
Scott Pruitt's return to Trans Am Racing is allowing him to notch up the records, that's for sure, and he adds another pole position to his career stats. It's his 2nd consecutive this year and 3rd Long Beach pole. Starting alongside him, Boris said, and he starts in the same position as last year's Long Beach race, but Boris still searching for that first win on the streets of Long Beach. Mike Lewis, that's his best start since Mid-Ohio last year. And then we go back to Johnny Miller, also looking for win number 1 here at Long Beach. Stu Heyner, Tommy Drissi, they make up row 3. Row 4 is Bobby Sack, the best of the rookies. He starts alongside Jorge Diaz Jr. Back to row 5, Greg Pickett, Max Lagot, the only Camaro in the field today. Malcolm and Mike Davis. We welcome Mike back to the series. Simon Gregg will start alongside Randy Ruhlman, who got moved back after changing an engine after qualifying, so he starts a little further down than where he was supposed to. Claudio Burton, and then, as we heard earlier, Paul Gentilozzi starting back on the 8th row with plenty of work to do, but just like Boris said did at St. Pete, we will keep an eye out for him coming through. Some new guys in the series, Jones, Nolte, and Joey Scarello returns. We've got 3 onboards to enjoy today here on the streets of Long Beach. The first one is our top place rookie at the moment after just 1 round of this year's championship, Jorge Diaz Jr. He will show us this shot. Stu Heyner also supplying the onboard pictures. Good strong finish. Had some mechanical problems at St. Pete. He'll be looking to improve on that. And Scott Pruitt, our pole sitter, carries these pictures. And will it be a clear track right throughout the day? We will find out. Calvin Fish, what do you have for us?
Well, I think Tommy hit the nail on the head. Tyre conservation here is really going to bring home a victory here today. I spoke to Boris, he said, I'm going to be in cruise mode until the last 15 laps. With Boris, of course, cruise mode means 2/10 off the track record, but I think everyone is going to be watching those tyres as the fuel load goes away. Let's go down to Brian.
Yeah, cruise mode for Boris. That's a good one there, Calvin. You know, you talk about guys that want to win this race. What about Johnny Miller? Gentilozzi's done it. Drissi's done it. And Scott Pruitt's done it. What do they have in common? They're all teammates. Miller wants to add a win to the team.
Here we go in Long Beach. We are away, and Boris said immediately pounces on Scott Pruitt side by side, heading down into turn 1. Pruitt has the better line, and he holds ground. Miller as it jumps into second, and Boris tries the switch back.
And he pulls it off back underneath Miller. Miller tried to tuck in on Pruitt's bumper. Boris didn't get a very good start. You can usually make a go of it on the outside there, because that's the preferred line, a little bit better grip under braking.
Keep an eye out back in the pack for the red Jaguar of Paul Gentilozzi making his way through as well. Bobby Sack was right up with Stu Heyner. Here's Gentilozzi on Claudio Burton, trying to get by the Panos, but look at the margin that Pruitt has already opened up.
I'll tell you what, Scott was complaining about being a little rusty at St. Pete, and that all went away by qualifying at race time. And he has a different mindset. He says he's doing it just for the fun of it, but he is a real competitor and certainly hasn't lost a step.
We ride with Stu Heyner. Let's have a listen.
That's Tommy Drissi in front. He was able to get by Stu on the start.
We've had an incident, Simon Gregg and Claudio Burton. And that's at turn 8. They seem to be able to get themselves sorted out. Marvin Jones, Greg Nolte, and Joey Scarello trying to get through. They do that now. Simon Gregg facing the wrong direction. That's Mike Davis at the back of the pack. He must have had some problems at the start as well.
That's right about where Paul was running. Last time we saw Paul, he was running right there with Claudio Burton. Maybe he had gotten by Claudio. Be interesting to hear if maybe he got into Simon Gregg. Now, in Paul's, it's in Paul's interest to not only get by people, but also to have a few yellows along the way. Because if he can get by some guys, get the gap closed up again, get by a few more guys without some yellows at key times, it's going to be hard for him to get all the way to the front.
Take a look at this. After lap 1, Boris said has closed that margin on our race leader, Scott Pruitt. It's the Jaguar of Pruitt, the Ford Mustang of Boris said, then back to the second Rocket Sports car of Johnny Miller. Let's take a look at a replay of the start. As they come to the line, set on the left of your screen, Pruitt, the outside right. Talk us through, TK.
And Scott just had a little bit of a jump. He is the pole sitter. They're supposed to key off him, and he was able to convert about a nose lead. And I think Boris backed off to maybe try to get back in behind.
This is on board Stu Heyner's Corvette. And already Tommy Drissi had got by. Now let's take a look on board with Scott Pruitt. This is what it looks like to start from pole and have a clear track ahead. There's Boris. So Seth did draw alongside.
Yeah,
got
Boris
ahead
was able
slightly.
to get up alongside after the initial jump. And there's Boris coming down the inside underneath Miller. That's a really strong move on cold tires, but a decisive one. He cannot afford to let Pruitt get away.
Michael Lewis tucked in nicely there into 4th. This is back to live pictures now. Let's get down to Calvin.
Well, Boris's teammate Mike Davis made his way to pit lane early here, Lee Diffie, and the question is, can they get this engine run? It's a fresh engine after qualifying. They blew a head gasket, new engine in this car, but right now, Joe Huffaker trying to get this thing running on all 8 cylinders.
Tough break for Mike Davis back in his return drive to the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup. Meanwhile, up front, it's getting very close. There's less than a second between Pruitt and Said. Meanwhile, let's look back at Paul Gentilozzi, 3 times Trans Am champion. New livery on the car this weekend as he chases Greg Pickett.
Already up into the top 10. It's amazing. Paul Gentilozzi, you know, pretty jovial. If this would have happened to him having to start last in the middle of a championship run, you would not have seen him be as blasé about it. But since he's only running selected races and he owns the series, I guess it's in his interest to put on a little bit of a show. He'd rather start up front and dice it up with Boris and Paul, or Boris and Scott, but coming from the back here, he needs to get by these guys. He can't afford to waste too much time getting around these back markers because those guys up front are running quite a bit quicker.
4 times a winner here on the streets of Long Beach. He's going for a record 5th. He is the only multiple winner here at this venue, and he will have a lot of work to catch up to the front runners today. He sizes up Greg Pickett, and a fairly easy overtaking move on the former Trans Am Series champion. Calvin, tell us more about Gentilozzi.
Well, we talked about Gentilozzi's woes in qualifying. He got in the back of Bobby Sack, hit the wall a couple of times. The handling had gone away on him, he said, and what really happened was he's got a new engineer this weekend, Nick Short, who's had a lot of success here in Trans Am racing. Should be a successful partnership, but Paul asked for a shock adjustment, and Nick misinterpreted it and went the wrong way for qualifying, and hence Paul was kind of overdriving the car, but they really regrouped in the warm-up last night there in the final practice, excuse me. He was the fastest man on the racetrack.
You ride with Jorge Diaz Jr., currently sitting in 8th. And here is Paul Gentilozzi, really catching up hard on him, and that car of Jorge Diaz Jr. has spent time at the Gentilozzi workshop. New body, new engine, the whole works on that car. Meanwhile, there was an overtaking move up ahead. Bobby Sack got through on Stu Heyner.
Yeah, that's 2 cars on that lap alone for Paul Gentilozzi. And you have the 2 Revolution Motorsports vets in front of him going at it in their inter-team rivalry. Look at the shot that Gentilozzi got off the hairpin. He's going to have a shot at Heyner here too, I think, down in turn 1.
You ride with Stu Heyner, Paul Gentilozzi, growing large in this shot. Brian.
Lee, I just went to Don Sack, Bobby Sack's dad, and I said, you know, you got teammates out there racing with each other. What do you tell him? And he said, I tell Bobby to drive away from Stu. That's what I tell him.
couple of puffs of smoke coming out of the back of Heyner's car, Tommy. So the rookie is ahead of his more experienced teammate. We'll find out more on this Stu Heyner situation as he gets worked over by Gentilozzi. More after this.
Are you in on it? Go to the new cheaptickets.com with new fare search technology for lower prices than ever. Or call now for new travel deals on cars, cruises, condos, and vacation packages. Why just save on airfares? Introducing new low hotel prices. Now save up to 70%. Cheap Tickets, the best kept secret in travel.
World Rally 2003. Get ready to join the Kiwis for the WRC's fastest race, the Rally of New Zealand. Stampeding across the Auckland countryside, drivers will push the limits to reach top speeds. But aggressive driving along these smooth gravel roads places driver talent and skill at a premium, while disaster lies around every corner. World Rally Championship New Zealand, April 17th, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
When you're a star, you can't have a lackluster body or a dull top. So I decided to give the whole works a makeover. So, what do you think? Uh-oh. Better get Mako.
Mako repairs the damage and restores the value with everything a body needs, plus paint for every budget, like ambassador service for $229.
Sexy makeover, Tiger.
Now what?
Bert, don't you love me?
What?
My paint's chipped. I have dents, scratches. I yearn for those 5 little words.
Uh-oh. Better get Mako.
Mako repairs the damage and restores the value with everything a body needs, plus paint for every budget, like ambassador service for $229.
Wasn't Mako easy?
Yes, dear.
Round 2 of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tyres Cup continues here at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. You're looking at race leader Scott Pruitt being hounded by Boris Said, the reigning Trans Am Series champion. It's Jaguar versus Ford Mustang. And Tommy, I know in the break you were impressed to see that Boris could stay within a second of Scott up to this stage.
Yeah, and he actually the last couple laps he's run a couple tenths quicker. So I mean, this, if I'm leading, I'd like a little bit more of a gap. I'd probably like to keep it at just over a second. They have this new rule. There's the potential of a competition yellow between 70 and 90%. What that does, if you're leading, there's no sense putting your head down and trying to pull away. If you give yourself just enough gap to deal with lap traffic, give yourself a little bit of a choice and not have to get by in the second you get to them.
Well, this will be interesting. There was a bit of niggle between these two guys in qualifying. Paul Gentilozzi hit Bobby Sack, and, well, you could argue either side of the fence was Bobby holding him up or whatever the situation was, but there was quite a bit of fist punching and finger pointing going on. Not fist punching on each other, I should add, but just in the air, and they were sort of pointing at each other. So, and I know that young Bobby Sack was pretty wound up about it, but he won't be able to argue with this. Gentilozzi has superior speed and had the position and gets through, and that battle's over. Now Gentilozzi continues this strong charge from 15th, is now in 6th.
And that lap, when he was closing the gap on Bobby Sack, was a 22 flat for Gentilozzi, which I believe is the fastest lap of the race. So he's a good ways behind. He's 11 seconds behind the lead. It's going to be hard to make it up a couple tenths at a time, but he has the speed if he's able to get a yellow.
We've been talking about Revolution Motorsports with Stu Heyner and Bobby Sack. Now let's hear from the team principal, Brian.
Well, Lee, I'm standing here with Don. Don, got to be nerve-wracking for you. 2 cars out there, but obviously one of them being Bobby, fighting for the Rookie of the Year deal, and with the problems he had with Gentilozzi in qualifying, a lot of nerves.
Yeah, but Bobby and Stu are doing a great job. I was just watching Bobby and Paul go at it there, and Paul passed Bobby clean this time, and Bobby gave him room.
Well, a lot of good things going on with this team. I know that you have some new sponsors that have come in for you guys too.
Yeah, yep. GMAC Commercial Finance is on board. Trenton Forging's been with us for a long time. We've got a new one that we're right there with. I can't announce it, but we'll have it for the next race.
And this Rookie of the Year thing, you want that bad?
Oh, yeah. It's a great race between Bobby and Jorge. And Jorge Sr. and I, we're two fathers with two sons that just love to watch them race. It's a great family deal we got going.
A lot of emotion here, Calvin.
Well, certainly Paul Gentilozzi and Bobby Sack would love to chase down those leaders, but we believe that both Boris said and Scott Pruitt are just running to a pace right now. I checked in with Troy Cargill, who oversees Scott's car. He said, we just want to run a pace and have a car at the end. He said, and we're just hoping that Boris is doing the same. So they believe that Boris will have something for them in the final stint of this race. But he said it's been a totally different racetrack to St. Pete, two street circuits. But he said this one, we really struggled with the balance. A loose condition, made a bunch of changes, and the car's finally come good.
One aspect of our coverage that we're proud to bring you this year here on Speed is the sounds of speed. Let's ride with Scott Pruitt, our race leader, and enjoy the natural sound. Getting back out there?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I needed a break, but I've had a bit of one, and I started missing it a while ago. Whether that results in a comeback or not, I'm not sure, but these things are very close to my heart. This is as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. There's some bumps there when the engine comes up on the cam. It really likes to spin those tires. Pruitt looked pretty tidy coming off there, but behind him, Boris looks really under control. He has a real long exit. He's not, trying to pinch the car at the last second to keep her in the wall, have the car go sideways. He's letting the car the nose tuck around a little bit further and really squeezing the throttle open nicely, and he's not losing any time doing that. So that bodes well for Boris late in the race.
Continues to lead from Boris said. Johnny Miller running in a very strong third from Lewis, Drissi and Gentilozzi continuing the charge.
SCCA National Road Racing Championships. 219 IMSA victories. And the only Japanese manufacturer ever to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Wonder what we'll do for an encore. Find out by visiting MazdaUSA.com.
Look, Steph. It's adorable. Hi there. Hi, what kind is it?
It's a mix, actually. Part charcoal, part gas.
Does it do any tricks?
Yeah. Actually, it switches from gas to charcoal in just a few seconds.
Listen, Steph and I are having a party tonight. Why don't you stop by?
The Charbroil 2-in-1 Charcoal Gas Grill. It's man's new best friend.
What a chick magnet.
Due to overwhelming demand, United Steel Factory will continue to offer pre-engineered steel buildings of every size at factory prices, from residential garages to large commercial buildings. No building too small, no building too large. Why use wood or cement? No painting, no termites, no wood rot. All steel do-it-yourself bolt-together design, guaranteed to meet your local building codes. Save thousands on pre-engineered steel buildings. Call 1-888-75-STEEL or go to UnitedSteelFactory.com. That's 1-888-75-STEEL.
65 Ford Mustang. Green, it was great, little 6-cylinder. I wrecked it 2 weeks after I got it. And it took me 20 years to get another one. Oh yeah, great, picking up chicks down at the beach, bombing around, just having a good time.
About 50. Earlier this week, drivers from Rocket Sports made the most of being here in California, close by at Irvine. Tommy Drissi, Paul Gentilozzi and Scott Pruitt visited the Premier Auto Group, Jaguar's home base here in California. They had a Jaguar Employee Appreciation Day, and the guys signed autographs, met the employees and talked to them generally about the BF Goodrich Tires Cup and especially these Jaguar Trans Am cars. And of course the series leader Scott Pruitt was on hand as well. The employees thoroughly enjoyed it.
And for Jaguar, that's very important. Don't forget that we have a great history at Le Mans and in Trans Am of winning races with Jaguar engines and Jaguar cars. So for us to be back in it this year is very important. So it's absolutely integral in our marketing programs this year and next year as we build the credibility of Jaguar on the track in North America.
And let's not forget that later this year we will see Scott Pruitt debut that brand new 650 horsepower Jaguar, genuine Jaguar engine.
That's right, 650, I always scoff at that. These Trans Am cars since I left have gone up probably about 50 horsepower. They're over 700 horsepower now. I would expect the 4-valve one to do the same. Now you have Gentilozzi, who's pulled himself up here into 6th place, and he's running quicker than the leaders. Now, if I were Paul only has 1 speed, so this is probably maybe pointless. They see Drissi and Simon Gregg getting together. Simon Gregg a lap down. Oh, hard for Paul to sit there. I mean, all that hard work to put some good laps in, he's losing, probably 2-3 seconds right there, bottled up behind.
Tommy Drissi's been able to skip away. You'll notice a new livery on Tommy Drissi's Rocket Sports Jag as well. LXG, which is a movie, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Tommy works in association with the movie business here in Hollywood. There is Tommy Drissi chasing out after Michael Lewis, who's done a very strong job so far. He's some 8.5 seconds behind Scott Pruitt, but maintains that 4th position. So Drissi pressing hard.
Now this is kind of an extension of Tommy's business. He's built himself a really nice business in Hollywood. When you go to the movie theaters, you see those stand-ups, 3-dimensional stand-ups in the lobby for the coming movies. Tommy Drissi virtually owns that business, Drissi Advertising, and always coming up with unique things. This is probably the most unique movie display he's come up with, most expensive one too.
We actually have a little piece Tommy specially made on Drissi Advertising later in the broadcast, which we'll show. Meanwhile, this battle for 4th continues. Gentilozzi back in 6th, then Bobby Sack, Stu Heyner, Jorge Diaz, and Greg Pickett round out the top 10. So still Bobby Sack is best of the rookies. Up front, the margin is still less than a second. Scott Pruitt to Boris said 0.8 of a second in it. Here we are, we ride with our race leader. Pruitt, who has not driven the car since round 1 at St. Petersburg in Florida, was struck down for about a week. He was quite sick after the Mexico Champ Car round, but he's bounced back and back to full fitness and feeling much better. And Calvin Fish, he's strong out in front, but Boris is not letting him go.
He isn't, and I really want to pose this question to TK. Tommy, I mean, do you think that Boris needs to make a statement here in round 2? He wasn't in a position to do it round 1 in St. Pete. I mean, we assume that both these guys are pacing themselves, but if Scott has a little bit more, he's just going to take the victory away from Boris. Does he need to wrestle him up a little bit and make a statement here at this stage of the race?
Well, I mean, whether he needs to or not, he definitely wants to. I mean, you forget Boris is the king. He won the championship last year, that long elusive goal, won the championship. Scott Pruitt comes riding back into the picture and just cleans up at St. Pete, helped by Boris starting dead last. So Boris wants both Scott to know and the fans to know, hey, if you're going to win this series, you got to go through me. I'm the defending champion. So it's hard to tell how hard these guys are running at this point, but this is an important race. He does not want Scott to build momentum, season-long type momentum, at the expense of him.
Lap 13 in the books. 38 still to come. Plenty more here on Speed.
I wonder how our home equity loan's going.
I'll check.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you. Lower, please. Mr. Bradley was in the lead, but now it's looking like Davis.
Want banks to compete over you? Come to LendingTree.com. Receive home equity rates as low as 4%.
Well, that's not going to help you, Bradley.
When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com.
My family is important to me, and I used to worry about where my kids were on the internet. Then I signed up for MSN 8 and met my butterfly. What a help. Now I have new parental controls, so I'm more at ease. And I worry less about unwanted email because our butterfly is one tough cookie when it comes to junk mail. Our butterfly helps make our house a home.
Looking for an internet service your family will love? Introducing MSN 8 with advanced Microsoft software. Call 866-700-MSN 8 today to sign up for 2 free months. MSN8 helps protect your family with flexible parental controls you set, personalized controls that help you keep track of your kids online. You'll also get tougher junk mail protection with multiple filters you set to help guard your family's mail, plus other new features AOL can't match. Switching is easy and hassle-free with powerful new switching software that moves your AOL address book, notifies your contacts, and forwards your emails for a month. Call 866-700-MSN8 today and get 2 free months when you sign up. New MSN8. It's better with the butterfly.
Who will be named the 2003 Driver of the Year? Now you, the fan, along with the distinguished media panel, will decide which driver in American motorsports deserves this prestigious honor. Log on to speedtv.com now to cast your vote for this quarter's nominees.
It's the 12th time the Trans Am Series has visited the streets of Long Beach, California, and Scott Pruitt continues to lead. This has been a very positive place for Scott Pruitt's racing, whether it be in go-karts or in champ cars. He even won the Toyota Pro Celebrity race a couple of years back.
And
something
a couple go-kart races as well.
Yeah.
What were you about to say, Lee?
I was going to say, you almost did that last year.
I almost did that last year. Yes, I did. I did do it in '97, but last year is the one that people remember, unfortunately.
If you've just joined us, Lee Diffie here in the booth with 4 times Trans Am champion Tommy Kendall, Calvin Fish and Brian Till down in the pits. Meanwhile, let's have a look at this battle. Gentilozzi coming up on one of his drivers, Tommy Drissi, and Michael Lewis not too far up. They come past Joey Scarello, and Gentilozzi sizing Tommy Drissi up. Fastest lap of the race still belongs to Paul Gentilozzi, who has come from 15th on the grid to 6th. Calvin.
We're down here with Nick Shaw. We're talking about the fact that Paul's running the fastest laps of the race out there, Nick, but is that what you want to see? How patient does he need to be to have a race car to take it to the victory, possibly?
I think we have a good race car, and he's not hustling it too much. We can run that speed and conserve the car. So it's a pretty good pace. He just needs to pick his time, get Tommy and the next car, Mike Lewis, and we'll be right on track. We'll get the competition yellow, and we'll be right up there in the top 3.
Sounds like they have a plan. He says the top 3. I got a feeling he wants more than that today.
Something we should elaborate on there, which was brand new at St. Peter. And if you missed the St. Petersburg round, Trans Am has introduced something new called a competition yellow. Tommy, it occurs between 70 and 90% of race distance. In the essence of creating close racing, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it infuriates you when you're out front. They used to do it before, and they just weren't as honest about it. So, I mean, I'm all in favor of spicing up the show. In this instance, it's really made for this kind of a situation. Knowing that this is the case, it's the steward's discretion. And, I mean, if I'm the steward and I'm wanting to spice up the show, if Paul Gentilozzi picks his way up to 3rd spot, you throw a competition yellow at the end and let these 3 guys go at it. Again, if you're up front, it infuriates you. But what those guys are doing, they're factoring that into their strategy. They know it's probably coming, so that's why Pruitt and Boris are running in the 23-second range. You see Scott run a quicker lap every once in a while, I think, when he's getting to traffic to build himself a little bit of a cushion. But they know it's coming, so in some ways, it takes the incentive out up front. So that's one of these unintended side effects. If I'm up front, I'm sure as heck not going to extend myself. I'm going to save as much car as I can for that last 10 to 30%, wherever that competition yellow comes. Sometimes you won't have one if they don't feel you need it, but this is a case where it's kind of built for this. If Paul can get up in the 3rd spot, bunch him up and let him go.
Gentilozzi is really starting to hassle Michael Lewis here. Lewis got held up a little bit behind Marvin Jones. Now Gentilozzi down into turn 1. Great move. Thanks very much. Job done. So he now moves up to 4th place. There's only Johnny Miller, Boris said, and Scott Pruitt ahead. Brian Till, what do you have?
Well, David Steele's the crew chief for Michael Lewis, and David, Mike run good all weekend long. Right now, is he saving something for that potential competition yellow, or is it just go for it?
I think we're saving something for the end. He struggles a little on a full fuel load, so we're going to burn off a little fuel, and we'll see if we can't get that crank up to the front.
Take that lighter car on those BFGs and put it up to the front late in the race? That's the strategy?
Yeah.
You heard it, guys. He's holding on to the end, just like you were saying, TK.
And Michael Lewis was very frustrated with his run at St. Pete, where he ran 9th, and he said they were simply lost with setup. They went away. They've tested a couple of times since then, and he feels they're much more on track. You look back from Pruitt to Boris said, lead 2 from Miller and Gentilozzi.
Why do you guys have interstate highways in Hawaii?
What do you mean?
Well, interstate means connecting 2 or more states.
I don't know. I think they're planning on building a bridge or a tunnel. Eventually.
When you drive a car you never have to think about, what will you think about? The Civic from Honda.
The best damn sports show, period. Sports television like you've never seen it before.
4 idiots sitting around talking sports. Great television.
Weeknights and late night on Fox Sports Net.
I began losing my hair about a year ago. Is it ever gonna stop?
What causes it to fall out anyway?
Let's say I'm ready to do something about my hair loss. What are my options? Why me?
It's hard to know what to do when you start losing your hair. That's where Bosley Medical comes in. For over 25 years, people have turned to us for answers to their questions about hair loss and hair restoration.
So what is natural hair restoration? Where does the hair come from? Is it permanent?
Does the hair actually grow?
To find out, just call this toll-free number. We'll send you this free video and comprehensive guidebook that give you the real facts about hair loss and the choices you have for dealing with it. Financing is available, so call now and discover how Bosley Medical has advanced the science of natural hair restoration, how they use your own living hair to fill in the thin spots. You'll also meet people who were once losing their hair and see what they looked like then and now.
But here's the big question. Do you think my barber will remember me?
Learn about all your options. Call now and get the information you need to determine if hair restoration is right for you.
Who will join the list of legends and be named 2003 Driver of the Year? Now you, the fan, along with a distinguished media panel, will decide which driver in American motorsports deserves this prestigious honor. Log on to speedtv.com to cast your vote for this quarter's nominees. And here they are. Keep in mind that this is for the first quarter. You need to log on to speedtv.com now and cast your vote for the driver of the quarter. Voting closes soon. Welcome back to Long Beach. We ride with one of our 2 young rookies, the 26-year-old Puerto Rican, Jorge Diaz.
And he is right behind his main rival in that Rookie of the Year battle, Bobby Sack. Stu Heyner has gotten around Bobby Sack, a little bit further off up in the distance, but there's always this race within a race. If you're a rookie, you're looking at being, when I was a rookie, I was racing against Dorsey Schrader. He won the championship that year. So everything I did was always kind of colored against that, so I didn't feel I had a great year. But if you're the 5th place finish and top rookie, you feel like you got the job done.
They're in 8th and 9th. Bobby Sack, who you're looking at in the Revolution Motorsports Corvette, and Diaz, who we ride with, is in 9th. Neither of these 2 guys have raced in Long Beach before.
No, they haven't. And this is where the experience shows up. You see Bobby Sack's car really starting to get loose, and you're also seeing Diaz's car wiggle around a good bit also. I did my first ever Trans Am race here at Long Beach in 1987, finished 2nd to Scott Pruitt. He was running the factory Roush car. I was driving my dad's Capri, but I got about 10 laps into the race, and I realized that I was so far. Oh, Sack locks up. Diaz comes up alongside. Sack was able to get it gathered back up. But where I was, why don't I just clam up here for a second and watch what's going on.
You're enjoying it, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
The 2 rookies hard at it. And Bobby Sack certainly getting a little loose. Jorge Diaz lining him up. Down into turn 6. Through 7 and down into turn 8 now. The big long stretch coming up, heading into turn 9 right now. Let's see if Jorge Diaz has anything for Sack. Diaz finished the better of the 2 in St. Pete and leads the Rookie of the Year title chase. Bobby Sack very determined to get one back this weekend. You'll notice the Puerto Rico Grand Prix sign on Bobby Sack's, on Diaz Jr.'s car. His father is the promoter of that race, and it will be the final round of this year's Trans Am Series Championship. Brian?
Lee, I just had a conversation with Don Sack. I asked him, Bobby has moved back. He said, well, he had a quick spin out there, which we didn't see on camera. That moved him back. He was as high as 6. But the car is a little bit loose right now, and a loose race car around this racetrack, guys, it's a handful. You know that, TK.
That's where I was going with that. My very first race in 1987, I had a pretty good car, qualified, I think third, but man, did I have a handful. About 10 laps in, I wondered why I was able to stay with these guys. I thought my car was dynamite, and the thing got looser and looser. Scott Pruitt, having been racing in Trans Am for a while, knew he needed to start with a pretty good sized push, had his car dialed into that. These guys don't know that yet. They've only been in a handful of races, and that's part of the science of winning Trans Am races, is knowing what the car needs to feel like at the start. I thought it needed to be perfect at the start. If your car's perfect at the start, it's a handful later on.
Race leader Scott Pruitt in the Rocket Sports Jaguar now has a 1.3 second lead over Boris said. Let's pay a quick credit to another rookie, Joey Scarello, who started last on the grid and who has worked his way. Although he is one lap down, he is up to 13th, just behind Randy Ruhlman. Coming round before they get notification of the fast 5 lap. And again, if you missed the St. Petersburg round, I'll remind you of this is yet another new rule, a new thing in Trans Am racing. The fast 5 lap simply means any drivers within 5 seconds on the designated lap within 5 seconds of the race leader will receive a bonus championship point. And at the moment, there is only one. That's Boris said. Miller's some 9.5 seconds back. Gentilozzi is some 16 seconds back. Calvin Fish.
Boris said has been a busy boy recently. He races a lot. He's going to be running in the Spa 24-hour race for BMW in a few months, and he was over there testing. Before he went to Spa, he went to the Nürburgring in a road car, and he said, man, that is the most awesome racetrack I've ever been on. Spa is nothing. He went to the track the next day to test at Spa, going through Eau Rouge. He had the left rear wheel brake at 150 miles an hour and hit the fence. So I guess Spa does have something.
He said it was something else to live through that crash.
Spa didn't like being dismissed like that.
24-0, +1 to Boris.
This is the gap I was talking about. It's 1.1 seconds right now. This is about the perfect gap, knowing that competition yellow might be coming for Scott Pruitt to maintain. When it was 6, 7 tenths, that was not enough to really give yourself some room to pick your way by traffic with any comfort.
Not quite halfway through round 2 of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup, the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Scott Pruitt has been doing it very comfortably at the moment.
And hear the difference in how he feeds the throttle in compared to when we were on board with the rookies. Guys were not, they're getting, you're taught, pick the throttle up, and you think, well, God, the guy up front couldn't possibly be as gentle as Pruitt is, but those rookies, if they go back and watch this tape, they'll learn some things by riding on board with Scott Pruitt. He's really being careful, delaying a second before he picks up the throttle. When he picks up the throttle, he's got the car a lot straighter than those other guys who are picking it up so early.
Jorge Diaz slips through on the inside of Bobby Sack. Now let's see what he has. Can he come back on the young Puerto Rican? No, he can't. So Diaz Jr. in front of Bobby Sack for the first time today. Great battle here between these two young stars of the future in Trans Am racing. Cal, what do you have for us?
Oh, we talked about conserving tyres. I mean, Boris said has actually been using second gear coming off the hairpin turn so he doesn't spin the wheels up too much, but he found in the final practice yesterday on full tanks the car was too sluggish. He was having to use first gear, so it really relies on the experience of these guys to be very patient. As Tommy's been talking about, just squeezing on the power and not really over-abusing the rear tyres in the early going.
Again, just to confirm for you, just the one driver to pick up a bonus championship point for the fast 5 lap, which was Boris said. So Diaz Jr. back on top in the Rookie Battle Stakes. We'll have plenty more from Long Beach coming up. Stick with us here on Speed.
Are legendary. Their origins are unknown. Their methods are extreme. But when our future's at stake, they'll be the world's last hope.
And the game is on.
LXG, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Look, Steph. It's adorable. Hi there. Hi, what kind is it?
It's a mix, actually. Part charcoal, part gas.
Does it do any tricks?
Yeah. Actually, it switches from gas to charcoal in just a few seconds.
Listen, Steph and I are having a party tonight. Why don't you stop by?
The Charbroil 2-in-1 Charcoal Gas Grill. It's man's new best friend.
What a chick magnet.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm a compulsive gambler.
This April, John Corbett stars in a new original series.
I don't gamble no more.
Where the odds just keep getting odder.
If you say gamble, I'm gonna stab you with a fork.
Lucky, Tuesdays at 10 on FX.
Coming up this Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, catch some of the best motorsport vision in the world. Rally New Zealand, the latest round of the World Rally Championship, right here on Speed. The action continues here from the streets of Long Beach in California. And you ride with Stu Heyner in the Trenton Forging GMAC Commercial Finance Corvette. Heyner has been able to get ahead of his teammate Bobby Sack after that spin. He's ahead of Jorge Diaz. We now look at Max Lagarde and Randy Ruhlman. It's been a bit of a tough weekend for Randy. He had to change an engine after qualifying, got sent toward the back of the grid, and he's slowly working his way forward. He's now up to 11th.
Two of the guys I raced against during the bulk of my run as well.
We talk about guys that have been around in Trans Am for a long time, and we, on behalf of everyone here at the Speed team and in Trans Am Racing, we send our well wishes to Bob Ruhlman, who just has a few health issues at the moment, and he will miss a few rounds of this year's series, but we hear that Bob will be back. And I know that you're watching Bob. Hi from everyone here at Long Beach, and a speedy recovery, and we'll see you soon. Randy Ruhlman has Max Lagarde's measure here. He said that at St. Pete they just had a few teething problems with the new chassis in the Haag Motorsports Corvette. Also had some fuel cell problems. They seem to have got over those now and running nicely in 11th at the moment. Still on the lead lap, but quite a ways back.
And when we went to break, Boris had fallen back to 3 seconds behind Pruitt, and I was wondering if maybe he was starting to lose some pace relative to Scott, but he has run a couple quick laps, and he's pulled it back to the closest it's been since the start of this race, a half a second off of Pruitt. There you see it, and running a series of 23-second laps. Likewise, I'm wondering if Paul Gentilozzi has maybe his charges kind of stalled at about 17 seconds behind these guys. Question is whether he's waiting for the competition yellow or if he's taking more out of his tires in spite of what Nick Short said that we're conserving that. Calvin, you got more on that?
Well, exactly, TK. I think they are just waiting for that caution period. I mean, Nick is very comfortable that the car is good and the tires are good to a certain degree, but let's play this scenario. He said we're going to wait and see how many cars are on the lead lap, and thinking it through, there's a rule in Trans Am that unless you're on the pace, unless you're on the lead lap, you need a move over when we go back to green. So I think if we get down to about 6-7 cars on this lead lap and then we get that caution period, don't be surprised to see Paul Gentilozzi pit for some fresh rubber, start 6th or 7th, and then they'll really have a race car underneath him.
That'd be something to see. It would certainly spice things up a bunch. Now these guys up front, though, when they need to, Boris can still put in some pretty quick laps. And I have not raced on the BF Goodrich radials, but from what I understand, they really hold up well. The bias plies that we used to run, at the end, a set of new tires would have been a huge advantage. My understanding of the BFGs is even if you overheat them, if you cool them off a little bit, they come back pretty well. So I can't speak firsthand to how big an advantage that would be to Paul.
Brian Till, tell us more.
I spoke with Chris Willis about Boris. Said he had dropped back to about a 3-second gap between he and Pruitt. And I asked Chris Willis, is that just traffic? He said, yeah, we're not in any hurry to burn up tires to catch up with Pruitt. We feel confident they're going to have that competition yellow, and when they do, hell, we'll burn up the tires at the end after that competition yellow comes out. We're not going to do it up until that point in time. We're saving the car.
22 laps to go. We're well and truly over halfway in this one, and because of that, Scott Pruitt has gained again the bonus championship point for most laps led. Meanwhile, Jorge Diaz has caught Stu Heyner. So he's left Bobby Sack, and now he starts to apply the pressure. Looks on the inside and gets Stu Heyner. Nice move from the Puerto Rican. Seemed to do it pretty easily.
Sure did. You know, you saw Heyner going away from Diaz earlier, but how things change, you know, that maybe both of the Revolution cars are a bit looser than they would care as the races progressed and the fuel loads burned off. Might have started a little bit too neutral.
Plenty more to come from the streets of Long Beach. Stick around. Can Scott Pruitt make it 2 from 2?
Marriage, she's holding me tighter than ever.
We're celebrating our 80th anniversary with our best terms ever. Visit BMWmotorcycles.com for more detail.
Fuel, air, power, speed, road courses, street courses, ovals, super speedways. Champ cars racing wheel to wheel, turn for turn, lap for lap. Catch the Champ Car World Series all season long on Speed.
Every 0 down, 0%, 0 payments till 2004. Derek Jackson here with Don Jackson Mitsubishi. Spring is here and so are the deals. 2003 Galant starting at $12,499. 2003 Eclipse starting at $13,999. 2003 Outlander starting at $15,999. Or check out the all-new Endeavor starting at $23,999. It doesn't get any better than this. When others say no, we say yes. Our prices won't be beat. Don Jackson Mitsubishi in Union City.
Para estar en la cima, un campeón debe estar siempre listo para pelear, para ir mano a mano con un guerrero y nunca retroceder. Para seguir siendo el mejor, un campeón debe enfrentarse al rival más peligroso y nunca abandonar la batalla. Dos grandes campeones, dos duros contendientes, De La Hoya versus Campas, Morales versus Bernardes. Noche de Campeones, sábado 3 de mayo en vivo por In Demand Pay-Per-View. Dos grandes peleas, una gran noche.
You're watching round 2 of the Trans Am Series from the streets of Long Beach, and this young Puerto Rican, Jorge Diaz Jr., is on a charge. He now has Tommy Drissi in his sights and has made up considerable ground over the past couple of laps. Whether he's burning his tires up or not, he's certainly spectacular. Now he sizes Drissi up on the inside. This is great stuff, side by side with Tommy, and he makes it stick.
We're coming up on Claudio Burton, who's smoking big wheel spin from Diaz as he pulls clear of Drissi.
Tommy back on the inside.
Oh! Oh, what a shame. Drissi tried to come back with a real bonsai down the inside and gave him a shot to the right rear. Oh, that's a real shame. He was really on the move.
He's able to get going here. It looks like he's lost 2 or 3 positions, but he's able to get going here. Not too much damage on the car. It's just a slight tap from Drissi.
Well, Jorge Diaz Sr., got to be a lot of emotion down here for you. I mean, he was doing a great job, a little bit of spin. Can he get it back?
We hope he can. We have 19 laps to go. We hope he can do it. He was cutting a second lap with Sachs and Heyner, so we hope that we can make it back. Yeah, that he can make it.
Well, he's put on a hell of a job, hell of a show so far. But, Calvin, you got some problems down there with Tommy, huh?
Yeah, he's in, Brian, and there's a light scuff on the left front wheel. I'm not sure if that created this problem with the power steering, but right now the boys are going to work here trying to get him some power steering back. He can't get around these tight streets without it. So tough break for Tommy. He had a great run going there in this beautiful Jag.
He certainly did. Randy Ruhlman is in trouble out on course. The Corvette for Der Haag Motorsports is running at a very slow pace. There's Johnny Miller. We haven't seen much of Johnny today. He's running in 3rd for Rocket Sports. And here's the 2 Revolution Motorsports cars. Oh, Bobby Sack got all out of shape and crunched Claudio Burton. Greg Pickett snuck through, so it's been a very profitable exercise there for Pickett, and he's just making his way forward as he wishes. Qualified 9th and now running in 8th. He dropped back a little bit, Greg Pickett, in the early stages of this race. Look at the damage on that Panos Esperante.
Well, and Sackett caught back up, made up all the ground that he lost when he spun, and it just pulled up onto the back of, just arrived at the corner with way too much speed. It was closing back up on the back of Heyner, and Burton turned in when he had to, and Bobby couldn't get the car turned and just drove into his door. Look how much speed he's carrying. He knows at this point he's in trouble. Almost drilled the back of his teammate. That's one of those moves where you know you're in trouble before everybody else knows you're in trouble.
Here's our race leader, Scott Pruitt. He is in traffic. That's Simon Gregg immediately ahead. Look at this. Boris said this is the closest we've seen this battle since the start of the race, when Boris said drew alongside Scott Pruitt. It's Jaguar versus Ford Mustang. Boris on the inside. Great move on Simon Gregg. They split the De Haag Motorsports driver. Now Boris needs to try and hang with Pruitt. 17 laps left to run.
Simon says, look out, and Boris said, where am I going with that? Boris said, Simon says, anyway. My crew used to refer to Boris as Alanis Boris said.
He's still running second, and a very strong second at that. This race is far from over. Pruitt has been smooth and fast, exactly like he was in St. Petersburg at the season opener. Has not been in the car since then, as I mentioned earlier. So he just comes back to the race meeting, slots himself in, and gets back on with the job. There's first and second. Third is still Johnny Miller from Paul Gentilozzi, Michael Lewis. That's the top 5. Stu Heyner, Greg Pickett, Bobby Sack recovered. He's in 8th, just ahead of Jorge Diaz. So that battle will resume. They're only about 4 seconds apart on the road. And Max Lagarde in the Sol Camaro runs in 10. Tommy Drissi is back on track. Cal, can you tell us more?
Yeah, they didn't get any fix done, so he's just going to have to tough it out. I spoke to Neville Agas, who's his crew chief, and he said we weren't able to make a fix. We just need to get him back out there, try and get some points.
Yeah, tough break for Tommy because he was running nicely. He was up there. Here is Burton, and this Panos is certainly well beaten up.
The walking wounded.
He's going to continue. There's Jorge Diaz making his way by. Of course, Burton is a lap car. And Diaz, who we ride with now, is pushing as hard as he possibly can to make his way back up, rejoin that battle with Bobby Sack and make his way forward. This young Puerto Rican certainly has given us plenty of action today. Still loads to come. 16 laps left here at Long Beach. Stay with us.
Are you ready to do more with a computer? Then do it with new ReadyTech Go from Gateway. Start with our 300 series home desktop featuring Microsoft Windows XP. Pair it with one of our 3 bundles that come with all the tech you need to create digital memories, mix and burn music, or score points with your family. All starting at just $9.99. Plus, we'll make it easy with no payments and no interest for 6 months. Call, click, and come in for ReadyTech Go. Only from Gateway.
So if I ran an online trading company, here's the way it would work. You'd make your trade, you'd pay the fee, a standard fee. No order handling fees or share limitations. I guess I'd run it like Ameritrade.
At Ameritrade, every online equity trade is $10.99, including stop and limit orders. No handling fees, no share limits, no gimmicks. Ameritrade, what's your share? Open an account at Ameritrade.com today and get 25 commission-free internet equity trades, and you could be trading the same day you apply.
Look, Steph, it's adorable. Hi there. Hi, what kind is it?
It's a mix, actually. Part charcoal, part gas.
Does it do any tricks?
Yeah. Actually, it switches from gas to charcoal in just a few seconds.
Listen, Steph and I are having a party tonight. Why don't you stop by?
The Charbroil 2-in-1 Charcoal Gas Grill. It's man's new best friend.
What a chick magnet.
NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying lives on speed.
Qualifying's important. If you qualify on the pole, you won on Friday.
Pole for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Probably one of the most pressure situations you're going to be in all weekend.
Pole! Hey, look pretty good.
It's a great accomplishment to win a pole.
Really pumps the guys up. It pumps the driver up.
We give it everything we have. Your weekend normally goes pretty good when you sit on the pole.
NASCAR NASCAR Bud Bowl qualifying on Speed, the home of NASCAR TV.
Morning. I'm Tommy Drissi. Let me show you what we do. Come on in.
Born and bred in Tinseltown, Tommy Drissi has always been a part of Hollywood. And this James Bond of Trans Am plays a major role in promoting the latest box office hits. You name the movie, and more than likely, Tommy's promoted it. For 14 years, Drissi Advertising has worked hand in hand with movie giants like Universal Pictures, designing, engineering and manufacturing cardboard standees for the film industry. The entire process is an in-house affair, from the creative design gurus to the computer-controlled cutting equipment. And to complete the promotional puzzle, Drissi controls worldwide distribution as well. So the next time you go to the movies, keep an eye out for Tommy's 3D handiwork.
Well, I'm going to show you how this process starts. It starts off with a designed mini mock-up. It's quarter scale. This is what's shown to the studios for final approval. Then it goes to an engineered full-size prototype. This is a work in progress right now. This project is in the middle of its manufacturing right now. And here's what the final piece will look like. It's going to be better than this. This is not a finished piece, but this is a piece that we're going through. And when it's done, it's going to be a really nice piece. And as a matter of fact, another project just came in, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, LXG, coming to a theater near you.
And Tommy Drissi is coming to a racetrack near you. And when you see him, one thing's for sure, his car will have an eye-catching livery. So that's what Tommy does Monday to Friday, and this is what he does Saturday and Sunday, and it's not all going to plan, Calvin Fish, is it?
Well, it's been a tough day for the 2000 winner here, Lee. He's been in and out of the pit lane several times. The power steering system has actually run off the electrical system, and they got a voltage problem, and that's what's creating the issue with the power steering. It's coming and going, and it's now affecting other components on the race car as well. So they've shut all the ancillary stuff down, trying to get some voltage back. So long day for Tommy Drissi. Let's go down to Brian.
Yeah, down here with Max Lagarde. You know, Max, we talked to him in St. Pete. He had a great race. We were talking to his dad, and as soon as we started talking to his dad, the engine blew up. Max, first thing he said to me was, "What, did you talk to my dad?"
I hope he didn't jinx me again, but it must not be you. You know, the water pump belt broke, and it just lost power steering, got hot, and we had to come in. So that's it. That was it.
Obviously, good runs there and here running in the top 10. What do you got to do?
I don't know. We got to go back home and do something different because this isn't working.
Well, he's showing that he's got the speed. He's just got to have the luck, guys. He'll be there.
We ride again with our race leader, Scott Pruitt. We have 11 laps to go. There's been a lot of talk, Tommy Kendall, about this competition yellow, but it is at the discretion of Trans Am. It may not happen. This might be a genuine hard race, head-to-head between Sed and Pruitt to the end.
Well, you certainly don't need it with the battle going on up front, but if you, as we say that, the full course caution comes out. I was going to say, but how much better would it be if you threw another car up in there in the name of Paul Gentilozzi? Now, I'm getting the sense with him falling back like he did that he might have taken more out of his tires than he hoped. And so he might not be the threat that maybe we think he's going to be. But these guys up front are certainly going to go at it hammer and tong as soon as they go green.
And we hear that there needs to be a bit of a general cleanup. That was the cone. It got caught underneath Marvin Jones's car and also Boris Sed's car. It got dumped halfway down Shoreline Drive, so that will be cleaned up. Also, Greg Nolte, you saw out on the track. Here's a replay here of Marvin Jones's car. That was the cone that was caught underneath. So there'll be a general cleanup and the field will pack up. So that will bring Johnny Miller right up on the back of Boris Sed. Gentilozzi up with Miller. Heyner up with Gentilozzi. Greg Pickett now running in a very strong 6th. Jorge Diaz, while we were away, has got ahead of Bobby Sack. He's 7th. Lewis is now 9th. And Joey Scarello, who's our 3rd rookie, started last, now runs 10th. Doing a nice job today on his return to the championship. Incidentally, Claudio Burton has received a black flag, mainly just because of the shape his car is in. It's beaten and battered and a little dangerous to the other competitors. So we're under caution here at Long Beach for the first time today, and we are going to have a very fast and furious final 10 laps.
Garden Claw, one of America's favorite garden tools, is good as gold. It adjusts to fit gardeners of all sizes. Garden Claw Gold helps you cultivate, loosen, aerate, and weed without being tough on your back. The claw's steel tines tear through all kinds of soil, even clay, bringing moisture and oxygen to plants' roots. and it turns weeds and leaves into beneficial mulch. Garden Claw Gold makes a great gift.
Available at Menards, Sears Hardware, and participating Ace, True Value, and Do It Best hardware stores.
Homeowners, what would you do to avoid the stress of qualifying for a home loan?
Anything.
AmeriQuest Mortgage understands why you hesitate, and that's why we've made getting a loan so easy. With 2 decades of experience, AmeriQuest has perfected the art of the no-stress home loan. To experience that for yourself, call AmeriQuest at 1-800-624-6705 or go to AmeriQuest.com. That's 1-800-624-6705. Call AmeriQuest, the company that knows you are more.
Muffy! 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 I found it! It's not Muffy.
Need hot water? Propane water heaters heat water twice as fast as electric ones, so you can get all the hot water you need, efficiently and affordably. Propane. Clean, efficient, exceptional energy. See what you can save with the energy savings calculator at usepropane.com.
Muffy?
Attention inventors, call for your free Inventors Kit, 877-655-4000, or visit us on the web at inventorshelpline.com.
You'll receive free confidential forms and useful information describing the invention process. And when you call right now, you'll also receive a free brochure which tells you how to begin to develop your new idea. So get the ball rolling. Pick up your phone right now and call for your free Inventors Kit.
Call today toll-free for your free Inventors Kit, 877-655-4000, or visit our website at inventorshelpline.com.
Who will be named the 2003 Driver of the Year? Now you, the fan, along with the distinguished media panel, will decide which driver in American motorsports deserves this prestigious honor. Log on to speedtv.com now to cast your vote for this quarter's nominees.
The Formula One World Championship continues after 3 already very exciting rounds. Round 4 comes to you from Imola in Italy, the San Marino Grand Prix, and you can catch qualifying from 8 in the morning. That's, of course, Eastern live this coming Friday. Saturday is final qualifying, and, of course, the race on Sunday, 7:30 in the morning Eastern. Catch that. Of course, earlier here today, great day for young AJ Allmendinger, who won his first ever Toyota Atlantic race. The Champ Car race was won by Paul Tracy, his 3rd consecutive win this weekend. Plenty of other motorsport going on around the world. Jeff Gordon won at Martinsville, and Scott Sharp won at the first ever IRL race in Japan at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. A good victory for him, Brian.
Oh, absolutely, Lee. And, you know, the Picketts down here are really cheering him on. For those of you who aren't aware of it, that's mom and dad-in-law, Penny and Greg Pickett. Their daughter is married to Scott Sharp, so they were certainly cheering him on. And the team down here cheering on Greg. He's second on all-time top 5, second in all-time starts in Trans Am. And Mike Halloran, his crew chief, says that you know age and experience still may win over youth and exuberance. After all the fiberglass clears in turn 1, G-Man might just end up with a top 3. Calvin.
Well, a quick update on the leaders now with their tyre situation. I've checked in with everyone. Scott Pruitt's men say he was starting to get a little loose there before we went to caution, so he may be struggling. Boris's guy said, we are perfect, great balance. Johnny Miller said, we're struggling too with a loose car. And Paul Gentilozzi, Nick Shaw said, we're not going to gamble and bring him in. We think the tyres are good. We've got a strong race car for this final 7-lap sprint.
Tommy Kendall, what's your shakedown of this? You're a 4 times Trans Am champion. Was Pruitt just being conservative out there? As Boris said, got a shot at this? Is Gentilozzi still in the mix?
I think it's wide open. Scott is really experienced and really smart. He was complaining about the car being loose on a long run on Friday's practice. So be interesting to see. Nobody's in great shape. They've got almost 100 miles on these tires.
Here we go. 6 laps left to run on the streets of Long Beach. Scott Pruitt leads them down into turn 1. Boris said Johnny Miller and the boss of Rocket Sports and Trans Am, Paul Gentilozzi, running in 4th. Behind him, Stu Heyner, then Greg Pickett. Look at Johnny Miller, lights it up out of turn 1, trying to stay with Boris said and get up there with his Rocket Sports teammate.
And Miller hasn't shown any fight early on, and maybe he was saving it all for the end. So this is where, obviously, where everyone lays their cards on the table. Paul's taking a lot out of his tires coming all the way from the back. You see him really hanging the back end out coming off turn 5 there. Those front 3 are starting to pull away from Paul.
Been a nice strong run for Johnny Miller today. He struggled earlier in the weekend with some setup issues, but has been faultless today in the Eaton Cutler Hammer car. About 140 guests and VIPs here. So a very special weekend for Johnny Miller. And we have just had confirmation that this will be a timed race, Tommy Kendall, around 7 minutes to go.
That's right, so the guys will break it down and figure, look at Boris.
We had the best finish in Trans Am racing history here on the streets of Long Beach last year. Will we have another?
Time break, 7 minutes to go, Scott. Probably about 3 laps.
You hear Scott Pruitt being told there by Troy Cowgill that there's just 7 minutes to go, as he keeps a very watchful eye on Boris Said, the reigning champion. Here comes Boris on the inside, not quite close enough.
And that close-up in the hairpin gave us a great shot of the dive planes on the front of, look at Boris, right in front of those front fenders. Those black things are dive planes that are a result of the recent wind tunnel testing that the SCCA undertook to give Boris and the Mustangs a little bit of help. Look at this. I mean, Boris definitely has more car than Pruitt at this point.
And those dive planes are just temporary. They will have a whole new front end coming for that Mustang at the next round. But Said is not done with yet. He is really giving Pruitt a good workout here. On the inside, and he's got it. The first lead change. Boris Said is there.
And that's right where it started to come apart last year for Boris. But look at this. He has a lot of car under him. He's starting to pull back away.
And Johnny Miller starts to size up Scott Pruitt as well. So, again, this is not a lap count. We are on a timed race, so the minutes are winding down. Said, Pruitt, and Johnny Miller. Calvin.
Well, we just checked in with Scott Pruitt's crew. He said, what is he saying? He said, he is saying nothing. It's just going to be a flat-out sprint to the finish. There's nothing we can do for him, but they did realize that the car got loose on Scott Pruitt, and all of the crew chiefs really got it accurate. Boris Said's crew thought he had a well-balanced race car, and it looks like he might have the legs on Scott Pruitt. Talk about make a statement, but there's 3 or 4 laps to go, boys. It's going to be fun.
Well, he gave us a stunning performance at St. Petersburg, where he came from the back of the grid to second. He started up front, and now he runs right at the very front. We'll take a quick break and be back with more with the finish from Long Beach.
None of these Mazda race cars ever dropped a valve, pulled a piston, or threw a connecting rod. Maybe that's why they've established one of the greatest winning records in racing history. To learn more, visit MazdaUSA.com.
World Rally 2003. Get ready to join the Kiwis for the WRC's fastest race, the Rally of New Zealand. Stampeding across the Auckland countryside, drivers will push the limits to reach top speeds. But aggressive driving along these smooth gravel roads places driver talent and skill at a premium, while disaster lies around every corner. World Rally Championship New Zealand, April 17th, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
USA Racing thunders into Lanier National Speedway Saturday, April 26th for the Georgia 250, presented by Jana King. See the world's greatest short-track stock car drivers. The action on Saturday finds qualifying at 4:30. The on-track fan autograph session is at 7 and racing to follow. Tickets are just $20 in advance, kids 12 and under free. The best short-track stock car racing is ASA. Saturday, April 26th, the Georgia 250, presented by Jana King at Lanier National Speedway.
MLB Extra Innings is like having my own personal MLB control room.
Through the power of digital cable, you can watch your favorite team play, even if you don't live in the same area.
Wherever the action is, I'm there.
Call now to order MLB Extra Innings for just $159.
I can channel surf around the league to track my fantasy players.
MLB Extra Innings. To order, call now. Get your game on with MLB Extra Innings on Comcast Digital Cable.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Long Beach for the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup. The exciting closing stages. And look at this, Tommy Kendall. Boris Said has opened up a gap on Scott Pruitt.
Yeah, Pruitt is just hanging on at this point. Boris really did a good job of saving them and keeping it under him. That, you can see Pruitt really fighting to get the traction to the ground. Miller got a little too close, had to back off there, coming onto the back straightaway. But Calvin said earlier he was speculating as to whether Boris wanted to send a message. I said absolutely. See Gentilozzi getting a little lockup at the end of the straight there. But this is exactly, like I said, Boris says, hey, I'm the champion here. Don't look right past me. And so he really wanted to make a statement.
Oh, Michael Lewis has crunched his Jag. Now, I can't see any damage on it. Michael Lewis trying to get going. I believe this is up in turn 9 at the end of the back stretch. And it seems as though that car is going nowhere. Meanwhile, battle for second continues. The teammates, we've got 3 teammates together there. The only one missing from this equation is Tommy Drissi, Pruitt, Miller, and Gentilozzi, all 3 Rocket Sports drivers. Let's see if we can find out what happened to Mike Lewis. Here's the replay. And simply locked it all up coming up into turn 9.
That was where Paul was fighting it coming in there, and Lewis got in trouble early in the brake zone.
So indeed, he didn't hit anything, just a massive lockup. Let's get back to it. The closing stages. Pruitt is defending. Meanwhile, Boris said goodbye. He is out of there. Boris said this has this one under control. 2.5 seconds the margin last time round over Scott Pruitt. Then Miller, then Gentilozzi. Remember that Boris said has not won on the streets of Long Beach. He came very close last year, but Gentilozzi had his measure. Brian.
Lee, I just talked to Chris Willis, and he looked at me and gave me a wink, and he said, I don't think Scott expected to get past there. And then he looked at me and said, so far, everything's going according to plan, just the way we had it all scheduled out, guys.
Chris Willis, of course, the guy who engineers Boris Said's Ford Mustang. Second place, Scott Pruitt. And there is your race leader. It's now out to 3 seconds, Calvin Fish, the lead margin.
I don't think Scott has anything for him. I just checked in with Troy Cargill, and he says Scott just says the car has gone wicked loose like we had early in the weekend. They thought they got a handle on the balance. They made a bunch of suspension changes trying to get the rear end hooked up, but when the car gets light with a low fuel load, the ride height comes up TK, and with 100 miles nearly on these tires, that's when it's going to be at its worst.
They do have some adjustment in the car. They've got the adjustable sway bars, but he's obviously out of adjustment. That's one thing that I was talking about, where you try to get the sweet spot. Once you get dialed into this car, and once Scott gets used to this car, he'll know exactly how he wants those adjusters set at the start of the race to cope with this kind of a situation. His teammate Johnny Miller, you saw Scott defending the inside, and Miller has a run.
Johnny Miller on the inside of his teammate Scott Pruitt. Side by side, the 2 Rocket Sports cars. Coming up into turn 9, Miller will have the preferred line, and Johnny's there. The Eaton Cutler Hammer Jaguar slips up into second place. Now what can Pruitt? Does Pruitt have anything to come back on Johnny Miller?
Will be your last lap, Scott. Last lap.
Final lap. White flag is out for Boris Said. Came from the back of the field to second, the reigning champion in St. Petersburg. Now he has just 1 lap left to run, less than 2 miles to notch up his first victory on the streets of Long Beach.
We talked about making a statement here today for Boris Said. What a statement Johnny Miller is making up against these more fancy teammates. Scott Pruitt, Paul Gentilozzi, and he's really been wicked fast here at Long Beach over the year. 4 podiums in the 6 runs that he's had here, and he's looking strong for another one today.
Boris Said is all fired up coming into this round. Trans Am asked all of their drivers and teams to display some decals for either the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, or the Coast Guard as a mark of respect for what the armed forces have done overseas. Boris said, yeah, man, absolutely, I'll take one for the Marines. He's got a new short version haircut. He's dedicated that to the Marines. He said he wanted to enlist, but they wouldn't let him enlist for just 6 months. So he is all fired up, and he is on his way to what's been a very well-calculated victory.
Well, he said at the start, he made the analogy to the armed forces. He said, I plan to do the same thing that our armed forces. I've got a better piece, a better plan, and we're going to go out there and kick their you-know-what. And I'll tell you what, he has had plenty left here.
Boris said, this will be Trans Am victory number 12. It's number 1 for 2003, and Big Boris is pumped. Said does it on the streets of Long Beach. Johnny Miller a well-deserved second. Pruitt in for third. Gentilozzi and Jorge Diaz Jr. the best of the rookie, and Greg Pickett looks like he may have run out of fuel. Struggling to come across the line, lost a couple of positions right at the end, but the ACS Express team, along with their new sponsors, New Century Mortgage, absolutely delighted, and Said is your man today. Well done, Boris.
Look, Steph. It's adorable. Hi there. Hi, what kind is it?
It's a mix, actually. Part charcoal, part gas.
Does it do any tricks?
Yeah. Actually, it switches from gas to charcoal in just a few seconds.
Listen, Steph and I are having a party tonight. Why don't you stop by?
The Charbroil 2-in-1 Charcoal Gas Grill. It's man's new best friend.
What a chick magnet.
I wonder how our home equity loan's going.
I'll check. Here you go, sir. Thank you. Lower, please. Mr. Bradley was in the lead, but now it's looking like Davis.
Want banks to compete over you? Come to LendingTree.com. Receive home equity rates as low as 4%.
Well, that's not going to help you, Bradley.
When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain.
Chance for you to sound off no matter what kind of racing you like.
Rant, rave, protest, praise. Dave's talking motorsports live.
Skip the lawyers, just tell us.
Wind Tunnel, Friday nights at 11, only on Speed.
Welcome back to the streets of Long Beach. Boris said pulls the car in a victory lane, 12th time in his career. Going to pull Boris out here. Boris, what a run here today. I'm sure you wanted to make a statement. You got Scott Pruitt out there on the racetrack, and that was a beautiful move you put on him.
I mean, it's great. I mean, we got a lot of new sponsors, New Century Mortgage. They can get money to anyone faster than anybody. Go to newcentury.com. They're great. But, I mean, the race is one thing, but in the back of my mind, I mean, in a bigger picture, you got, all I think about is the military, our men and women in armed services over there overseas. I'm so proud of them. I mean, all the men and women, thanks for the job you're doing over there to keep America safe. Feel great. Thanks.
How confident were you that you had a race car for this final sprint? Everyone was waiting for the yellow, and I'm sure Scott was pacing his car as well. Did you know you had enough, or were you unsure?
I was a little unsure. I didn't know how hard he was using his car. I thought right at the end before the yellow came out, I had a shot I could have gone by him, and I picked my spot where I was going to try to pass him, and it worked out. But he's a great racer, and we were just, I don't think we were saving much, either him or me. But, I mean, New Century Mortgage, Qualcomm, everybody at GE Access, thanks a lot for all your support, and everyone at ACA and my crew. Got to dedicate this race to Roy Baker. He's our manager, lost his life last year. Maureen, hope everything's good with you.
Great thoughts there. Let's go over to Brian Till.
Johnny Miller, it says right here, an army of one, and that was pretty much you there at the end. It looks like you saved enough car for Scott there at the end. Do you think you had anything for Boris, any hopes at all for that?
Yeah, I think we actually did. The car was not as bad as I thought it'd be on a restart. You know, it started to come back in the middle, but we had so much of a space, I thought, you know, man, this ain't gonna go this whole way. So we were real patient, and you know, there at the end, Scotty and I got into it, and I was like, oh, come on, man. I was wanting to go after Boris, and but you know, it was a fun race, and we're in this deal. I tell you, I really we got some new sponsorship on the car, and we're hoping to finish up and do well in a championship here, and maybe this will do it.
Well, that's 2 podiums in 2 races, so obviously your championship hopes still very much alive. Calvin?
Well, Scott Pruitt, you had the lead there, but when we went back to green, seemed like the tires had gone away a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I was running a pretty hard pace. That was one of the things we were fighting with on the rear, and just the lack of experience, just, you know, getting through a whole race, understanding how hard you can chase those rears. Just kind of overachieved today. Just had nothing left on the rear.
It's going to be a great battle, though. I mean, Boris here, defending champion. I mean, he certainly showed his muscle here today. And you talk about lack of experience. You're just saying you need a bit more time with this car?
Yeah, a bit more time and understanding how hard you can push these tires. I mean, that's one of the things you learn after not being in the series for a long time. Boris did a great job. Johnny did a great job. Great effort this weekend, but I got to do a little homework.
Well, he still has the championship lead by 5 points, we believe, over Boris said.
He certainly does, and it's a good, solid result, and it was a very entertaining day. This was the move. Boris said on the inside of Scott Pruitt. They battled hard all race long, and in the end, Boris came out on top. Join us after the break. We'll wrap it up here at Long Beach.
Look, Steph. It's adorable. Hi there. What kind is it?
It's a mix, actually. Part charcoal, part gas.
Does it do any tricks?
Yeah. Actually, it switches from gas to charcoal in just a few seconds.
Listen, Steph and I are having a party tonight. Why don't you stop by?
The Charbroil 2-in-1 Charcoal Gas Grill. It's man's new best friend.
What a chick magnet.
What? Oh, come on, come on.
Struggling to keep your grass green? Maybe it's time you got a fertilizer that works at every level. Introducing Bear Advanced Triple Action Lawn Fertilizer. It works at every level, the grass, the roots, plus it fortifies the soil for a thicker, deep-down green that lasts, guaranteed. Bear Advanced, better thinking, better results. Available at Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse and other fine retailers.
Are you ready to do more with a computer? Then do it with new ReadyTech Go from Gateway. Start with our 300 series home desktop featuring Microsoft Windows XP. Pair it with one of our 3 bundles that come with all the tech you need to create digital memories, mix and burn music, or score points with your family. All starting at just $9.99. Plus, we'll make it easy with no payments and no interest for 6 months. Call, click, and come in for ReadyTech Go. Only from Gateway.
Coming up next, don't miss an all-new episode of High Rev Tuners. Next, only on Speed.
Here, all clear. Hold your line.
I'm Jimmy Johnson, and you're watching the Speed Channel, the home of NASCAR TV.
Another memorable day here at Long Beach, and Boris said we'll remember this one for a long time. His first win on these famous streets. And what about Johnny Lightning, Johnny Miller? A stunning result in second to outdo Scott Pruitt. Gentilozzi fought hard, and Jorge Diaz, he is definitely one to watch for the future. Stu Heyner, Greg Pickett, sadly at the end there lost a couple of positions, sacked Lewis, and Joey Scarello on his return came from all the way last on the grid to finish in the top 10. Let's take a look at the points after round 2 of this year's championship. Scott Pruitt still will have the lead, but it's only by 3. We thought it was by 5, but it's actually only by 3, and Miller is certainly in the hunt as well. How many races will Paul Gentilozzi do this year? Yet to be sure on that, but Pruitt still leads the way. The next round of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tyres Cup comes your way. Sunday, May 25 here on Speed, 2 p.m. Eastern. Tommy Kendall, it was a delight to have you in the announce booth. Your thoughts on this race today?
Well, I'll tell you what, last year's finish and this one shows you why this series is so popular and it's been around for as long as it has. If you get all 3 main protagonists starting up there without any coming from the back, you won't need any of those competition yellows. But it was fun to be back, even if it was only in the booth, and I'll be watching on the couch from here on out.
Well, it was lovely to have you here, and what a race. Well, Pruitt has dominated qualifying, but 2 races, 2 different winners. It looks like Sed and Scott are going to go at it hard all year long. Thanks to Calvin Fish and Brian Till for their hard work in the pits. On behalf of Tommy Kendall, I'm Lee Diffie. Thanks for joining us here at Long Beach.